Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. And as of right now, we have 55 participants on the line. Be sure to reach out to your team and invite your team to these calls. We are looking to always have at least 100 people on these calls, so we don't want any ICMs left behind. Today, we get to learn from Daine Clark. A little bit of Daine's history. Before Renatus, he was working two jobs. He was working for Apple. He was in the back, kind of shy, and he was also a roofer, and he fell into roofing because that's what his dad was doing. And with fair skin and red hair, he was in the sun all day, and it was not his cup of tea. He was barely making ends meet and started looking for other income opportunities, and he ended up finding Renatus. And after Renatus, he plugged into the system, listened to his mentor. He applied velocity banking to pay down debt and then used that as leverage as a down payment for a duplex. He lived in one side of the duplex and rented out the other. Fast forward to today, Daine has raised over $8 million from investors to lend on various real estate transactions, and his secret to that is consistency and frequency. He's grown his team. He is recognized by our CEO, Bob Snyder, as a key leader. He's on the PIT team, meaning he's a President's Advisory Council member in training. And we are so fortunate to have him as our trainer today. Good morning, Daine.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. So great. Happy New Year again to everybody. And for those of you who were on last week, literally we did this on the first day of the year, did a little bonus training that turned out really, really good. So if you didn't catch that one, make sure you go back and listen to last week's training, partially because today I just didn't have enough time to go into everything that I really wanted to. So today we're actually going to do a part two from what we did last week, how to take it to the next level of how we are all going to achieve our goals this year. So before we do that though, those of you who have been on the call before know that I love to report and share and even take a quick question or two about somebody that you're working with. So the number that I track on a weekly basis for my personal business, last year in 2019, it was somewhere upwards of 250 one-on-ones for the whole year, and was able to track down to where I make about $1,000 a one-on-one. It was like $950 some odd dollars per one-on-one that I do in my Renatus business. And so for everybody on the call, I love to keep us accountable and report. And so if I look at my calendar, actually I already know I was out of town. We were out in the desert. I get to report a big fat goose egg this time. I think this is probably the first time on this call that I've had to do this, but I am going to report a big fat goose egg. 0. Did not do any one-on-ones between New Year's Day and today. We just literally got back late last night, so I'm ready to hit it hard and get back at getting to work. I'm ready to get to work. So anybody who is either on the phone or if you can type in, jump off of mute and share the number of how many one-on-ones or people that you had. New goal for 2020, 250 one-on-ones. Love it. Absolutely love it. I've got, let's see, Leo off of mute. Did you want to chime in and report? Leo Lockert. Maybe not. How about I mute everybody? Mute. There we go. Cool. So we've got, let me pull up the chat box here. All right. So Sherry, you and me both, we have the positive energies, the success gods will be coming our way. Just because when you report a big fat goose egg like this, you'll notice that from today and the next 7 days, just because you're honest with yourself, I mean, people are going to pick up on that. When you are just an honest person in general, people feel it, people know it, right? And so we'll have the positive vibes, or whatever you want to call that, karma, I don't care. But you'll notice that in the next 7 days, someone is going to show up in your life where you're like, oh my gosh, we need to talk real estate. Right? I got to introduce you to some people. I got to introduce you to some systems, like a system that includes Mark Kohler and Christian George and Garrett Gunderson and all these instructors, amazing instructors that teach us in the Renata system. Okay, so let's see. Let me go online. Sandra had 2. Congratulations. Keely had 2. Awesome. Wanda had 1. Absolutely amazing. I love that goal. 250 one-on-ones for the year 2020. Deanna Torres had 1. Congratulations. And then we've got a whole bunch of people that are with me here. And now I'm not saying that this is okay, just in case. But I'm actually humbled that I do get to say that I did not have any this week. But watch what happens next week. Yeah. So Amy, Tyler, Rhonda, Chuck, and Jeff are all with me there on a big fat goose egg. Let's see, Keely, I've been hitting the phones hard last week and have 10 people booked for tomorrow. Nice. Congratulations. That's going to be sweet. Absolutely sweet. Esther had 4. Cecilia had 5. Great job, guys, getting off to the new year with a good start. And then Ann also had 0. So congratulations, guys. I have 5 coming. Doug says he has 5 coming to the intro tomorrow. Awesome. Congratulations. Now, let's take just a few minutes, and I'd like to have one person come off of mute, and for the purpose of asking a question about a specific individual that you are working with, that you could love, that you would love to get a little bit of feedback, whether that's from myself or the group as a whole. We get people chiming in and answering questions, just giving you ideas on what to do next, because sometimes it's tough to know what can I do next with this person to help them see the value to get started with us. And so you know who you are. Go ahead and jump off of mute and let's have a conversation about this person that we love and care about, and so we are trying to introduce Renatas to them and get them started. Allison,
Hi, Daine.
Marshall, I have
Yes.
you off of mute. Yes.
Okay, so
Allison, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I have this gentleman that has been coming to 4 Pillars and house tours and onboarding. He's been coming to everything. He's brought friends, but he seems to be milking me for information and hasn't committed to signing up yet. How do I approach this in order to get him to sign up?
Yeah, I love when that happens, because that means they see value. They're interested, right? And then they keep on coming. So I imagine I probably have met this person. Quite possibly, especially if he's been coming down on a Thursday night. And so here's what I typically do, because sometimes you can smell it, right? Where they're just like trying to get stuff out of you so they can go and do it on their own. But typically what I like to do is answer their questions. And I begin answering their questions. And every single question, the answer is, oh, that's in this class. Right? And so they start asking, oh, well, what about this? Like, oh, that's in this class. Like, you know what? It sounds like it's time to get you access to your education and our community as a whole so you can plug in, right? And so I just start answering that. Every single answer, I'll tell you right now, to his questions is going to be, ooh, that's in this class, or oh, that's in this class, or if he starts asking other types of questions, you say, oh my gosh, I need to connect you with this person that's in our community, or oh, I need to connect you with this person that's in our community, but you got to be a member, right? Mm-hmm. So then you just start saying, okay, so what do we need to do to get you going, right? So and actually, don't even ask that question. The next thing that you say, so after you say, oh, that's in this class, or, oh, I need to connect to this person. You say, cool, the next step to get you what you need is let's actually go ahead and put your, or create your account. Let's go ahead and create your account. So you pull up, and I literally just start doing this. When somebody asks me those types of questions, and here's the cool thing about this. It's not like, if you don't treat it as pushy in your mind, it's not going to be pushy. They just want somebody to step up and be a leader in their life, because if they're asking questions, they want somebody to lead them. And so by you just being assertive like that and just stepping up and saying, you know what, here's the next step, and just make it so normal in your mind to say that, they'll be like, oh, cool, and they'll just follow you, right? A lot of people, they just want somebody to follow. And so if you treat it like that, I mean, yeah, you're going to weed him out. And if he was never going to buy, then he's never going to buy. But if there's any chance that he is going to buy, by doing something like this with all that confidence of, hey, this is normal, this is just the next step. As soon as you start asking questions, the next step is, hey, we got to get your account created, and we got to figure out how to fund this thing so you can unlock your education, and so that you can start plugging in with our community and getting what you need. And then you tell a story. You tell a story of somebody else that got started and how it was able to change their life for the better. So in recap, oh, that's in this class, or, oh, I need to connect you with this person that's in our community. The next step to get going on your or in your progression is, let's actually create your account so you can start getting ready to registering to events, or if the answer is access to class, then so we can start working towards getting you access to your class, and let's get going. So put his order in, and then you figure out how to fund it, and you just give him like, hey, here's what most people do, right? People love to hear that phrase. Here's what most people do. People use cash or credit, and you can go down through in the Renatus, what do they call it, the funding page in the disclaimers. And just say, hey, most people do cash or credit. They use a company called Get Funded Online. They use 401k money. They use life insurance money, or last but not least, they'll use UGA. And so you just start, and I usually just like to list them. I say, hey, here's everything that people can do. And then you just start asking questions. Which one intrigues you most? And then I'll circle 2, maybe 3 of the options, and say, cool, so here's, plan A, B, and C. Let's try doing this, and if this doesn't work, then we'll try this, and if this doesn't work, then we'll try this, right? Or which ones do we need to find out more information about? Maybe the 401k, how can we find out more information about your 401k if that's something that they mention that they need some help with. So I hope that helps.
It does.
Answer every question with where he's going to find that answer.
Okay,
all right,
great.
Tyler, just because I love you, brother, we're gonna take 2 questions here. I had a guy ready to purchase, but then he said his money got tied up and and now's not the right time, but he will eventually. I've just been keeping him updated on all events per his request. Anything else you'd recommend? Procrastination. Now's not the right time. Sometimes to overcome procrastination, I'm trying to think back to actual hard stories that can back up what I'm going to say. Sometimes what I've seen help overcome procrastination is it's not deep inside him enough yet. Like, he can see that other people are having success. He can see that this could probably work for him. But the next thing that he really needs is something that's going to cause him to just go for it, to take action, right? And so sometimes I like to sit down and say, hey man, let's actually sit down and set some goals together. And you know what, Tyler, the thing that I'm going to talk about today, you'll probably be able to directly regurgitate this towards him. You know, obviously change it just a little bit because I'll go a little bit deeper today. But I think I'm going to answer the question of some things that I have done for other people when they were just kind of on the fence, to the point where they were just like, you know what? Okay, let's do this. Let's get my order in or create my account, and let's figure out how to find some funding. So we'll go over that. Sherry said, what is qualifying a person? How do you qualify them? That's super cool that you asked that. That was actually one of the big things that I wanted to do, or that I want to do better in 2020, because I mentioned that I did 250 one-on-ones, and you know, a lot of those people didn't buy. And so I'm sitting there thinking like, man, how can I, because I don't want to go do 500 one-on-ones in 2020. And to share with you guys, my goal is to double my income in the year 2020. From 2019 to 2020, my goal is to double my income. And the number one thing I told myself I would not do was double just working harder, right? Because working harder, that I just start putting myself back into an employee mindset. And so my goal, I told myself, if I am to double my income, I am not going to do 500 one-on-ones to just double how many one-on-ones I did last year. I will become more effective in my one-on-ones. And there's a whole bunch of things that I'm putting together around this, of not just being more effective, but essentially I need to start making about $2,000 per one-on-one that I do. And so qualifying is going to be one of the big things. One thing that I do to qualify people, and it also depends on the phase. So I mean, it sounds like I could do a whole training on this at a later date. But essentially, I just like to ask them a few questions. You know, things like, you know, after they've seen the intro presentation, just ask them a question like this. Like, hey, so let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much does this make sense to you? And do you like the idea, right? And so I like to ask that question because, I mean, they're going to tell you pretty darn close of where they're at in that moment. And then if they say they like it, they're like, oh yeah, like 80%, you know, something like that. They're basically going to tell you if they're going to buy at that moment. But I like to ask that question right after like a first exposure, for example. And then I like just start asking them other questions like, cool. So are you already, and you got to be careful with this, but are you already like ready to start buying properties? Like, have you been building your credit? Have you been building reserves so you can, put money into real estate? Or are you going to be a little more like me? And I started with no money, no credit. I had to figure stuff out, right? And so I like to just start asking little questions like that. Like, hey, where are you? Where are you ready to start real estate right now? And so, I think those are the questions that you're asking. But how do you qualify them money-wise? How do you qualify them ambition-wise? Like, are they ready to start taking action and getting after it? Yeah. So, and I'm so sorry, guys. I got to stop answering questions because I got to get into the training. But Amanda, we put a student through funding. They got $20,000 in cards and paid for funding because funding costs about $2,000. They have ghosted us and won't move forward with their education. Any suggestions on reconnecting with them? Has this ever happened to you? Amanda, I am so sorry to say that yes, that one has happened to me as well. Just fell off the face of the planet. Never saw them again. So yes, that has happened. I'm not sure what caused it. But oftentimes, if they just like gone, never, you don't hear from them again. I mean, something caused a negative emotion in them, most likely, right? And yeah, I know, Keely. Right after they I had one person get $60,000 in credit cards, and then never saw them again. It just ghost. Right. So here's how I found to reconnect with them and at least try to figure out what's going on because usually something negative, some kind of negative emotion has spurred in them, right? And we never know what it is. Maybe it was Google. Maybe they started Googling, is Renatus a scam? And when you Google anything, you find answers to that thing, right? You could find, is the United States of America a scam? And people believe. There are people that are posting on the internet that, you know, we're not, anyway, you get the idea. So whatever you Google, you find. And, you know, so maybe there was something like that. Maybe it was a friend or family member. We have no idea. So the best way I found to reconnect is just text them and say, hey, I've been texting you. I haven't heard from you in a while. Oftentimes, like when people do that to me, it's because I've maybe offended them, or maybe or maybe I need to apologize about something, you know. And then I say, would it be fair to say that there's something similar like that going on here? Like, is there anything that I need to apologize, you know, to you about? And I want to say, like 9 times out of 10, somebody that has just ghosted me, when I say something like that, where I express concern for them, they write back. And I've actually had people where I pulled them out of whatever it was that caused that negativity, and still came back and bought a combo from me. But yeah, some people did it, and that's okay. But that's how I've been able to pull them out, right? Number one, hey, oftentimes when people, you know, when I don't hear responses from people, it means I need to apologize to, you know, about something that may have happened or something like that. You know, would it be fair to say that might be the case here? And is there anything I need to apologize for? And just express that concern. And they're gonna text you back one of 2 ways. One, they'll be like, yeah, you know this, and just be super angry. But in most cases, I think that's happened to me 1 time in all the times I've done this. In most cases, they'll get back and be like, no. They'll be like, you know, totally just be like, no, you're fine. And just start saying whatever it is that they are willing to share with you. Now, I'm going to say that again. They'll say the thing that they are willing to share with you as to why they have ghosted you, right? But so the goal from there is just to try and get them back and say, hey, you know, we're actually doing something special, and I was thinking about you, and I'd love to have you, you know, connect with this person or come to this event, or, you know, something like that, or even meet one-on-one with them at that point. And so that would be what I would do in this case. All right, let's jump into some training. I'm going to share my screen here. Share screen, start broadcast. This is great stuff, guys. Good questions, absolutely good questions. And I hope it's valuable for everybody else that's listening in on the calls too. I would love to hear that feedback. If everybody is getting value from me answering questions like this for specific situations, then let us know one way or the other. You know, let us know, hey, I feel like this is a waste of time. Or let us know, like, hey, no, this is super valuable. I really appreciate hearing other people's stories and other people's situations that we're helping them work through. Okay. And so yeah, thank you, Keely. Appreciate that. So everybody else, actually take a second and chime in and say, you know, and if you want to do it anonymous, that's totally fine as well. I think you can do maybe just Facebook message me or something like that. Right? Give us a thumbs up or give us a thumbs down, whatever. Okay, all right, so shared my screen. We're gonna go over to my chalkboard here. Okay, so last week we talked about vision boarding, creating a vision for the year 2020. We had everybody take action and writing one thing down. So writing one thing down, and then we kind of, we talked about that one thing and how to look at it and how to pick it apart. Okay, so today, anybody who was on the call last week, I want you to think of that same thing, and you better remember. I'm gonna slap you if you don't remember what we talked about last week, or what you wrote down or should have written down last week. I will literally come through this Zoom call, and I'm gonna smack you. Maybe not the ladies, but anyway, you deserve it. But remember the thing that you mentioned. If you were not on the call last week, go ahead. Oh, let me put everybody on mute here. if you were not on the call last week, then think of one thing that you would love to accomplish in the year 2020 that would help add to you being able to say that 2020 was the best year yet. So on December 31st, you're saying to me and everybody else, like, yeah, 2020 was the best year yet because this happened. Yeah. So think of one thing that you could put in just a really short sentence that's going to happen. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do. As you break down this goal, and this is what I do. This is how I start moving myself to become on the same level of my goal. Because here's what happens, right? So if we are, let me pull up my pencil here. If we are right here, and every single person is running at a frequency, okay? We all have this frequency, and the frequency is made up of two things. It's basically whatever positive thoughts we have in our head minus whatever negative thoughts we have in our head, and this becomes our net. We're just going to call this vibration, whatever you want to call it. Okay, because a lot of us have positive self-talk and positive vibes and declarations and how we talk to ourselves, right? Some people do it to the extent of literally like standing in front of the mirror and saying, I am this, or I am an achiever, I am, right? And some people just do it passively or in the mind conversationally of just saying like, I am this, I am that, right? We're always talking to ourselves, right? And so our net vibration, if you will, is an addition of our positive thoughts in our mind minus our negative thoughts equals that net vibration. And so some of us have a positive net vibration because the positive is higher, right? There's more positive thinking inside of our mind than there is negative thinking, right? Some of us have a negative net vibration because we talk negatively to ourselves, about ourselves, we think about negativity of other people or things that are going on in life. And so some of us might have a negative net vibration. Okay, so here's the thing with our goal, right? So there's us, but here's our goal. Okay, our goal, typically when people set a goal, it's something that they've never done before. Because if you own a Honda Accord and you set a goal to buy a Honda Accord, there's like, well, that's unless it's like a nicer, newer version of the Honda Accord. But if it's the same, then I mean, that's not a real goal, because it's like, oh, of course, you could afford a Honda Accord, right? And so when we set a goal, it's usually something better than what we currently have, than what we currently are doing. Okay, so something, maybe make more money, or maybe buy something that's nicer, or go on a trip that we've always wanted to do, whatever it is. Okay, the sky's the limit. Typically, the goal is something that is a higher vibration type of goal, right? We want a nicer this, or we want a better this, or we want more money in the bank. One of my big goals for 2020 is to just have more money in the bank, literally just reserves of cash. Last year, we put away about 1 year of what my wife and I would need to live on, just in case. And that, for me, if you guys follow Woody Woodward, I have a security eye that I just like feeling security. And I know that's like a little bit counterintuitive to velocity banking. I still run velocity banking, but I just like to have a stockpile of cash that just helps me feel secure. Like if I didn't make $1 for the next year, my wife and I could still live, feed our family, pay our bills, everything, literally for a whole year, right? And so for 2020, I've got a bigger cash goal that's at a higher vibration, more money than I have ever had in the bank at one time in my life for 2020, right? So for myself, I'm here, and this is where I want to go with that specific goal. Okay, whatever it is. You'll notice that your goals are at that higher vibration, okay? And so we got to do two things. And this is kind of funny because I wasn't thinking about going here today on what I'm talking about. I actually had some other stuff, some other notes that I have jotted down, but maybe somebody needs to hear this. And so it popped into the forefront of my mind. Okay, but notice that whatever your goal is, higher vibration, okay? So to get yourself to that higher vibration, there's two things that you can do. You could either increase the positive side, right? Because as soon as you are playing at this level, like you basically become the type of human that operates at that level, right? So, you know, in my case, if I just start throwing numbers out there, in my case, if I start acting, or if my brain starts acting like the person that has $100,000 sitting in the bank account, then that's when I will start doing that, right? And so for me, the goal is to start way out doing that, right? Having multiple $100,000 sitting in the bank. And so I need to start acting like, or I need to start becoming the type of person that operates at a frequency that has multiple $100,000 sitting in the bank. And so again, that's why I say there's two ways to do this. We either work on our empowerment, our positive, right? We work on becoming more, right? A better, more positive, all the things. We work on that side. Or the other side of things is getting rid of, I would call these anchors, right? An anchor, we all know this in a boat, right? A boat has an anchor. And anchors are good things because anchors will keep that boat in that one spot, you know, minus, you know, whatever the wind kind of takes it this way or that way, right? An anchor will keep a boat in one spot. But if you are trying to move from this space to this space, you know, if you're trying to take your boat and move from here to here, this anchor becomes a bad thing, right? And so the idea is to not only work on the power, right? So if I keep the boat analogy, the power is the engine that you have here in the back of the boat. It has a little propeller. Sorry guys, I love drawing. This is so much fun. And so the power is the boat, right? So we could work on the positive side, the empowerment, right? In the boat, the fuel, the CC size, the engine, the you know, all that stuff. Okay, cleaning out the carburetor, whatever. Or we need to be releasing these anchors, right? And anchors are just the negativity. And you could do both, right? Because your goal, it's always the net vibration. Okay, so because I've seen a lot of people that are very they have a lot of negativity, but they still achieve a lot because they focus so much on building or strengthening the engine, the empowerment, all that kind of stuff. Okay, and there are other people that have the same net vibration that just have a certain amount of positivity, the power, but they just have no negativity, right? They don't have any negative self-talk. They, you know, anyway, so I hope this is making sense. All right, give me a thumbs up or whatever, you know, if this is making sense to you. So two things we can do: focus on the positive, or start releasing and getting rid of those negative thoughts, the negative self-talk, the negative "you can't do this," the doubts that you know, if I start telling myself, "Oh, Daine, you've never had multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank," that's a negative thought. That's going to be an anchor that as I try to move towards, if I go out and try to close business and do real estate deals and help people join Renatus, then that is going to be weighing me down as I start plowing through, right? Because most of us, I mean, if you own Renatus, you set yourself up with a lot of great tools, you know, let's call it a great engine to drive your boat, right? And a lot of us have good technique, and a lot of us have good practices, or you know, we know what to do. But those negative things that creep in are gonna slow you down, right? Technically a boat can still drive when there's an anchor down, a boat can still move to this other side of the lake, but it's just going to be like, you know, it's going to be weighed down. It's going to be dragging across the bottom of that lake. And if you hit a rock, you know, if you hit a big rock, just because you have that negative thing that's attached to you, negative thought or negative view of the world, or the negative view of people or time or money, right? All these different negative things that you can think about, even you know, mom or dad, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, okay? Any type of issues out there, then oftentimes you'll hit this big roadblock where that anchor catches this big thing that you can't get past, right? So anyway, working on those two areas of your life, empowerment and getting rid of the negativity, both of them, okay? Release techniques. And if it's important enough for us to go deeper into how to do stuff like this, we can do that another day. But here's what I really wanted to talk about today, okay? And so let me just check comments real fast. Oh my gosh, 23 comments. Super valuable. Love it, love it. How can we help members who only have ICM purchase to make money? Tell them to put butts in seats. Let's see, who was that, David? Yeah, tell them to put butts in seats. Dealt with all these, definitely houses. Oh, cool. You guys are so kind. Triple digit my income. Yeah, baby. 2020. Cool. You guys are so kind. Thank you so much for those positive vibes. All right, back to this. So your goal, okay? Whatever it is that you want to achieve in 2020 that is going to add to you being able to say 2020 was the best year yet because this happened. Doesn't have to be money, can be, but whatever. Okay, so the goal that we want to achieve, think of the thing in your mind, whether you have it written down or, you know, look at it, or if you've got it in your mind, think of that one thing, okay, the one sentence. And there's a couple of things that we need to do about this to achieve it, right? Most people don't achieve goals. I think we talked about this last week, but most people don't achieve goals because they don't know it well enough. They can't see it or see themselves doing that. They can't see themselves on the other side of that success, being on the receivership end of that success or whatever it is. So they can't, so they don't know it enough. They can't see it. They can't talk about it, right? Oftentimes when somebody sets a goal, like, oh, I want to flip a house. You know, maybe that's one of your goals this year. Oh, I want to flip a house this year. I want to flip my first house. But that goal is not ingrained enough in your mind that you want it so bad that you are willing to begin talking about that goal to literally anybody. The people who will push positive vibes back to you and the people who will put negative vibes back to you, right? Because believe me, you need to be able to say it to both. You need to be able to say your goal to people that you know are going to give you negative vibes or positive vibes. Doesn't matter, right? If you are not comfortable saying what you plan to do to other people, then you do not have a clear enough goal in your mind, or you cannot see it in your goal, okay? Working from the top down here. In fact, I should probably write this down. All right, so know it, see it, say it, then feel it, right? And oftentimes this becomes, actually, yeah, I do remember talking about this, yeah? This becomes, if you don't know it, see it, say it, then you don't feel it, right? It doesn't move you to even want to talk about it. Or lastly, take action on it, yeah? And so those are the things. Now, I want to talk about some things, because we talked about this last week. So I want to talk about some things on helping you increase all 5 of these, okay? The knowing, seeing, saying, and feeling, and acting, right? So when we have our goal, one thing that we need to understand, that the mindset and training stuff that we have, let me put everybody on mute here, the mindset and training stuff, the knowing it of your goal, this is going to be about 80% mindset of achieving your goal. Okay, 80% mindset, 80% just knowing in your mind how it works, what you're going to do, right? So let's just use the example of flipping your first house or doing your first real estate transaction. 80% is going to be mindset. The other 20%, excuse me, the other 20% is going to be the actual goal. Oh, I want to flip a house, and here's how to do it. No, yeah. The other is going to be the mindset. Okay? So focusing your time accordingly. Okay. Other things are going to be obviously action. Taking the action, because the action is going to be the only thing that actually achieves the goal. Let me actually make a list. Okay. So obviously you need the goal. 2 is the mindset. Mindset training, okay? Things like this. Things like the positive empowerment, things like getting rid of the negative, okay? Things like getting clarity on your goal. Things like what to do, right? Most people don't achieve their goals because they just don't know what to do about it. Okay? Other things, mindset, obviously taking action, right? What action are you going to do? What are you going to do in order to achieve that thing? Excuse me. Tracking. How are you going to track it? What are you going to do to measure how much you did today, right? What are you going to do to measure what you did today to achieve or getting closer to your goal, or this week, or this month? Okay, so there has to be some way of tracking your goal. Okay, other things. How are you going to track it, and who are you going to track that with? Who are you going to be accountable to? Who are you going to tell? Okay, so in my case, last week I shared one of my big goals, and so that's one way of me being accountable, right? Jumping on a call like this, I have the opportunity to tell everybody, hey guys, here's what I'm going to do, okay? Because everybody's watching me, and anyway, you guys get the idea. And so you just start telling people who are watching you, okay? And so that's one way. Now, obviously, you got to have like the one guy one guy or gal that you track it more specifically, right? But telling people, right? The year 2020 is going to be the year that you tell more people about what you want and plan to do than any other year of your life, right? And notice what happens to your pocketbook. Notice what happens to your achievement levels just because you told more people this year than you ever have in your life. Okay, watch what happens. Stay tuned for the entire year. Okay, I want to hear back from you guys too. This has been working for me. It's your time. Okay, then celebrate. Celebrate. How are you going to track the little wins? So celebrate, validate. How are you going to track the little wins, right? How can you be like, yes, we did it this week. Let's go get ice cream, or yeah, let's, whatever. Do something where a little party of celebrating, like, yes, we got closer, right? This is now in place that I needed in place in order to achieve my goal. Okay, whatever it is. Okay, and especially as you start breaking down that goal of the different working parts and things like that. Okay. So the celebration. Okay, now here's where things are going to get interesting, right? So I want everybody to follow along in this section of what we're going to talk about. Okay, and I want you to do this right now. So think about your goal. That one sentence. Think about that goal, the thing that you want. And I want you to tell me, and we don't have enough time for everybody to literally do this, okay? But in your mind, okay, let's say spiritually, okay? We're spiritually connected from mind to mind, spirit to spirit. I want you to tell me in your mind why you want to achieve this goal, okay? So just take 10 seconds and tell me why. Why do you need or want to achieve this goal? Okay. So why, number one. Okay. Hopefully everybody got that really quickly as why do you need this goal? Okay. Now, next, let's start drawing the little one or little a. Okay. Next, what I want you to do, tell me why. Why do you need this goal? And it needs to be different than the first time you told me. Okay, why do you want this? Start, give me another reason. What is another reason why, and literally like tell me, right? In your mind, picture yourself where you're sitting here in my office, and I'm actually pacing around. So, maybe you're sitting down in the couch here, and tell me, right? Imagine yourself telling me why you want this goal. Okay, next. Let's do the little B. Why? Again, give me another reason why you want this. Why do you want this goal? Again, tell me why. Literally tell me, spirit to spirit, in your mind, tell me why you want this. Okay. Next, notice what might start happening in your mind as I'm asking you to do this, to search your mind. Okay, why do I want this? And maybe it's flip the house. So maybe you start talking, oh, I want this because I want more money. Oh, I want the more money because I want to buy my wife a nice trip, or whatever it is. Okay. So you come up with reasons. Notice what starts to happen as we move on. Okay. Next thing. Tell me why. Why do you want this? Eventually it will become normal that the first couple of reasons you were able to just like spit off on the top of your mind. You're like, oh, Daine, this is why I want to do this. Oh, this is why I want this. Okay, and you were able to give me 1, 2, 3 reasons. Okay. Notice that when you get stuck, when you're like, Daine, I don't know why else. Search deeper, right? Notice that something is going to start coming out from deeper. Okay, these ones most likely, like statistics are about here. These ones you're able to just spit off. They were just on the top of your mind, right? Things that you could see at the surface as to why you want this, right? But notice that as we start getting down here, A, B, C, D, notice as we start getting down here, that things are starting to come from somewhere deeper within, that you want to achieve this goal, that this is something that you want, and here's why. Here's why you need this, right? And it's actually perfectly normal for even a man to begin feeling a little bit of waterworks going on, okay? Especially if you're doing this right. So let's see, next here, E. So again, imagine you're sitting here, here in my little mobile office, sitting on the couch, and you're telling me why. Another reason why you need this, why you want this, right? What good is going to happen because of getting this goal, right? Who else is this achievement going to affect? Why do you need this? Because of somebody else in your goal, whether it's one person or multiple people, right? Notice that things start coming up from deeper within, okay? And we don't have to keep going, but I think you understand what I'm doing here to you, where we're finding the deep-rooted reasons, where oftentimes some of these whys are actually not necessarily about the goal itself. Like I sat down with somebody about a month ago, And the real reason that he set a certain goal was because he was, or is, I'm sorry, getting emotional here. The real reason that he wanted to achieve a certain goal was because he is engaged. And he has never, ever provided for another person other than himself in his life, right? I remember that feeling when I was engaged to my wife, Paige, where I was like, man, I'm going to have to be like a provider for me and her. I'm going to feed my mouth and her mouth. And if we start making any little Daines and Paiges, their mouths, right? And so I started feeling this weight. I've never provided for somebody. So he started feeling this weight. And so one of the reasons that he set the goal that he did was to prove to himself that he could provide, that he could earn more income than what he currently has for himself and feed more than one mouth. Right? So he started, and at this moment, this gentleman, and this is like a tough guy. He started to weep, to absolutely weep, because he now knew what is really driving this goal of all of the ripple effect. Okay, so all of these things. Oh, it's so funny that we've been talking about a boat. All of these things are going to be the ripple effect. I'm not sure if it's an E or an A that needs to start with this one, but the ripple effect as to what else will happen because you achieve this goal. Okay, so you start getting into this deep, deep roots of what's going on. Okay, and I would imagine that somebody, if you actually took place and envisioned yourself speaking, to me in your mind, some of you might actually be tearing up right now, right? Especially if you did this right. I know I did when I first started doing this, where I was like, holy crap, this is getting real, right? Anyway, you guys get it. Okay, so notice that ripple effect of those things. Typically, the first few reasons that you'd list off are top of the mind, right off the top of your head, easy to come up with. Then it becomes, the moment you stop, now you know that's a sign. That's a sign that you know you're getting into the deeper reasons. Yeah. So whether it takes you 5, 10 to just list off and then get into the deeper, that's fine. But get deeper into that ripple effect of why this goal is going to show up in your life, because of how it's going to affect you and other people around you in your life. Okay. All right. Now, here's the thing that's important to go, oh man, it's after 9 o'clock. Oh, you know what? Let's, we might have to do a phase 3 on this. So it's after 9 o'clock. And so I do have another call I got to jump on here in about 10 minutes. So we'll continue this. We'll continue this on, let's see. Can I enlarge? Yeah, I'll enlarge. Cool, you guys are awesome. Awesome, great job, Doug. Okay, so somebody asked me to enlarge this. I think if I turn my iPad like this, you're welcome to take a screenshot, take a picture, whatever. Yeah, but we'll pick this up next week. We'll go deeper into this stuff next week. I better make a note of that. Yeah, I've got my notes. Okay, so start doing stuff like this. If you don't already have things written down, bare minimum on a digital screen, but the best place is to be in paper, actually written down with your fingers and a pen touched to paper is the best way to have all of this stuff that I'm sharing with you written down, right? These reasons that you all these whys that I told you to tell me, have those written down somewhere, bare minimum digitally, But best case, using your fingers and a pen to the paper written down. Okay. So have a wonderful rest of your guys' week. Excited to go deeper into this next week, but stay tuned and start taking action on this now. Okay. Start writing down. Writing. It needs to be written. Okay. Everything important has been written somewhere. So let me jump back here, just make sure I don't have any more comments. Thank you all so much for your positive vibes and comments and all that stuff. You guys are awesome. Love you all. I will see you next week. Have a great one.